I just don't even know why there aren't uprisings all over the country, and maybe there will be.
People need to start taking to the streets. This is a dictator.
You know, there needs to be unrest in the streets for as long as there's unrest in our lives.
Enemies of the state.
Show me where it says that protests are supposed to be polite and peaceful.
Biggest terror threat in this country is white men, most of them radicalized right to the right.
I want to tell you, Gorsuch, I want to tell you, Kavanaugh, you have released the whirlwind, and you will pay the price. You won't know what hit you if you go forward with these awful decisions.
I thought he should have punched him in the face. I said, even if you lost, he insulted your wife.
Yes.
He came down the escalator and called Mexicans rapists and murderers. He said, well, what do you think I should have done? I said, I think you should have punched him in the face and then gotten out of the race. You would have been a hero.
I said if we were in high school, I'd take him behind the gym and beat the hell out of him.
I will go and take Trump out tonight.
And sadly, the domestic enemies to our voting system and our honoring our Constitution are right at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue.
They're not going to stop before Election Day in November, and they're not going to stop after Election Day. And that should be, everyone should take note of that on both levels, that this isn't, they're not going to let up, and they should not.
Mark, in my view, this is the unequal application of standards, the unequal application of the law, and a bastardization of the United States Constitution. And 6 alleged, air quotes, Republicans are going along with it. Am I wrong?
If you're looking for public officials saying things that seem to be encouraging violence, the Republicans laid that out for you today with lots of examples of very prominent Democrats saying that. I think the reality, though, Chris, is that you can look at the president's words and see the same thing. He was the president. The events of January 6th were quite violent, but there's no more linear connection in the minds of the vast majority of Republican senators and Republican voters between what the president said and those violent acts, even if they think that he didn't perform perfectly.
That's exactly, Mark, that's exactly my point. Then if we're going to impeach President Trump, who's now a citizen Trump, then let's go ahead and impeach the Vice President of the United States right now, Kamala Harris, for her words. Let's impeach Maxine Waters. Let's get rid of Nancy Pelosi. Let's get rid of all of these people in Congress who have done the same thing. See, this is what I'm talking about. The acceptance, the double standard, which really aggravates people who have a sense of fairness like me.
Yeah.
Democrats get to do whatever the hell they want, but the rest of the country has to fall in line. And Nancy Pelosi gets to walk into the House chamber without having to go through the magnetometer when she fines 2 Republicans $5,000. But she gets to ignore the rules because they don't apply to her. Somebody that's on your radar screen, Neera Tanden. Neera Tanden is being nominated by Mr. Biden for a post. And she has said some awful things about Republicans. Oh, but she said she was sorry, just like the deputy assistant press secretary to the State Department. She said she is sorry as well. And then, of course, Jen Psaki puts out a homophobic tweet. Oh, I'm sure she's sorry, even though she hasn't apologized for it. But they get to go on with their public life uninterrupted. When does this country get equal application of the law and standards? When do you think?
Well, I think in terms of the media, it's going to be a long time before that happens, although it's something the country should aspire to, and the press should be held accountable for the double standards. I think right now, in the minds of at least some Republicans on Capitol Hill, 2 things are true. There's a horrible double standard regarding these kinds of statements, as well as lots of other things, but regarding these kinds of statements that the press and the Democrats push forward. And they believe that the Constitution allows a former president to have an impeachment trial in the Senate. And some of them believe the president should be punished for what he did. Both those things can be true at once. I think the passions that you see on Capitol Hill and around the country relate to the fact that for a lot of conservatives, they can't get over the first thing because it's so obvious and blatant to them.
Yeah. Well, I tell you, it's not just the press. The institutionalized unfairness, the misapplication, the unequal application of law is being institutionalized in the country, and it's a bad way to go, and it's going to lead to a whole bunch of hurt feelings and sadly, worse.